Welcome to Create Your Midlife, the podcast where self-agency becomes the new feminine power. I'm Dr. Oksana Skidan, and every week we explore what it means to create your life by leading yourself with ease, clarity, and presence, one real conversation at a time. November always whispers two things at once. Time's almost up, and you still have time. I love that duality because to me it's true. This month isn't about finishing everything. It's about finishing aligned. Most women I know rush toward the finish line, checking lists instead of checking in. But what if ending the year strong had nothing to do with doing more and everything to do with owning your energy, your focus, and your story? Especially now at this very exciting time in our life, our midlife. Let's talk about something I deeply believe in, the power of the pause. The strongest women I know don't sprint to the end. They pause, they assess, and they choose what truly deserves their energy. That's leadership in motion. That's self-agency at work. Because when you pause, you step into choice. You're no longer reacting to life, you're directing it. You start asking the questions that actually matter. I'll bring you an example from my life and music. Many young musicians believe that when there is a pause, as we call it rest, in musical score, that's the time when music stops. But that's actually complete opposite. And as a professional musician, after performing for years and years and years, one would look completely differently at that rest, at that pause. It's the even more special time than the score where all the notes are written, because that's the time when you continue the music, you continue hearing the sound, you continue to move forward. And at the same time, you allow yourself and your audience to breathe. So to me, when I talk about pause, that's exactly that. It's allow ourselves to breathe. To breathe right before the end of the year, right before the holidays are going to take over, and right before we will say that today is December 31st. Therefore, we're just 24 hours away from a new year, from new goals, from new dreams. So, let's ask a few things together. What's already complete that deserves a quiet celebration? That is the time that we can pause and think. I'm sure you were able to complete so many things that somehow you just did not credit them. You did not think of them. You did not pay attention because our focus is always on what is not finished. So I invite you to look at what you were able to complete, not the big, flashy wins, but the small things that matter to you as well. When you acknowledge those, your brain registers completion. It reminds you, yes, I can finish things. Yes, I'm capable. That builds momentum for what's next. Then ask yourself, what's still unfinished, but not yours to carry anymore? Just like clothes go out of style or out of our liking, goals do too. Not every goal is meant to be finished, and not everyone is meant to follow you forward. When I discovered this phrase, listen to this again, I think it's so mind-blowing and eye-opening and very freeing. Not every goal is meant to be finished, and not everyone is meant to follow you forward. And that's okay. And maybe the most powerful question is, what do I want to feel as year closes? Not what do I want to finish, but to actually focus on the feelings. There is this saying, which I absolutely love. You'll forget what people told you, but you'll never forget how they made you feel. So how are you making yourself feel right now as you think about what's still left in 2025? And how will it feel when you actually complete those things? This is the time when I invite you to pause and think about what I just shared. Not to run forward, but to allow yourself to breathe. Here's the truth. You can't own the future until you acknowledge what you've lived. So many of the goals we carry year after year exist only because we didn't finish them before, not because they still matter. But what if the reason you didn't complete them is simply because they were never truly yours? Maybe they came from culture. Maybe they came from pressure. Maybe from the version of you who thought she needed to prove something. And this is where Own Your Story comes in. Stand by your past goals, whether you finish them or not. They taught you something. They shaped you. They served their purpose. And then stand by your future as well. But make them yours, not borrowed, not tradition-driven, not based on who you were told to be, just yours. When we look at our goals, projects, or even the year as a whole, we usually focus on two things: what's finished and what's not. And if we're honest, we spend far too much time thinking about what we did not complete. But early November, right now, right here, is actually the perfect time to pause, look around, and do gentle before the end of the year check. Because most reflections only measure achievements. But life isn't a checklist. It's an ecosystem. So today, I want you to look at your year not just by what you've accomplished, but through the 5 elements of the Create Your Midlife method. It's how we see the full picture, not just what got done, but what grew with us and within us. This is how we lead our lives our own way, authentically and uniquely. Because everything begins with what's happening internally, our stories, our thoughts, our choices, before it ever shows up as external wins. Let's start with element number 1, own your story. Ask yourself, what parts of my story this year feel complete, and which still need to be understood before I move forward? Maybe even write one simple sentence. This year taught me. Look back honestly. What did you do, or maybe not do, that still makes you proud today? Give yourself credit. It's fuel for finishing what matters most now. Notice the small completions, the conversations you had, the boundaries you kept, the things you quietly followed through on. That's where your momentum lives. Confidence doesn't come from huge leaps. It grows through recognition. When you say, I did that, I made that choice, I learned that, that's how you build self-trust. To me, for example, this year, I realized that staying true to your goals and realizing that the ones that matter most need most focus was a complete revelation. This is something that I realized that if I want to complete something, I need to focus on what matters most, not to do the most amount of work. As we move to the second element, that is become your own muse. I invite you to ask, where did I act from inspiration and where from obligation? Because there is a difference, and you can feel it. Inspiration feels alive. Obligation feels heavy. Notice what felt most you this year, not what others expected of you. And since one letter in Muse stands for strengths, ask yourself, where do I need my own care right now? While we're still in preparation to the most exciting for many part of the year, but also the busiest one with all the things we as women tend to believe that we need to wrap up and finish. Is it emotional? Do I need more softness or maybe stronger boundaries? Is it physical, more rest, more movement, or simply more presence in my body? Or maybe it's mental, releasing perfection and remembering that progress is perfection. And here's a personal reminder I give myself daily. Done is better than perfect. Because in my life, Mrs. Perfectionista still loves to show up. But every time I focus on the result and not the flawless delivery, I win back my energy and flow. As women, we tend to love to go for being perfect. But in midlife, the best part is to realize that how we are and who authentically we are, that is already perfect. The third element is live in the now. And again, I invite you to ask yourself a question. What present choices am I postponing until next year that I could absolutely honor today? Every single day gives us a chance to begin, continue, or simply shift something. You don't have to wait for January to live as the woman you want to be. Look at your current goals. Where could you take one small, imperfect step now? That's creation in motion. That's what self-agency looks like. It happens in today's actions, not future plans. Presence replaces pressure, and that presence becomes your most powerful form of progress. For me, I learned that no, you don't need to start everything on the most significant day. No, you don't need to wait until Monday, and you don't need to wait until the new Year resolutions will kick in. If you want to change something, you can do it right here, right now. It could be Thursday afternoon. It could be Friday evening. It could be any time of the day. As soon as you decide to change something, that is the perfect timing for you. The fourth element of Create Your Midlife is Curate Your Sphere. Ask yourself, who and what am I taking with me into the December? And that includes more than just people. It's also commitments, environments, and even thought patterns. Because everything you touch influences you, and everything that surrounds you shapes how you feel. So notice, how do your surroundings make you feel right now? That quiet whisper of, this doesn't feel like me anymore. That's your cue. You don't have to make big, dramatic changes. I'm not about revolutions, and I'm not about big, heavy, and often scary transformations. Sometimes the most powerful move is a quiet step back. Choosing not to engage, not to explain, just to breathe. Quiet withdrawal is also self-agency. Protecting your peace is leadership. You get to choose presence over participation. And this all starts here, right now, at the beginning of November, before you yet to invite people, before you yet to reply to invites, before you yet complete your entire schedule without putting yourself into every day, without remembering of your true wishes, goals, dreams, and needs. The fifth element is self and world attunement. I invite you to ask a question: how did I align or misalign with the rhythms of life this year? With nature, with my own cycles, with my own energy. Because attunement isn't control, it's cooperation. It's moving with life instead of pushing against it. Notice your personal rhythm. When you're creative, when you need rest, when your intuition feels strongest. Let yourself move with that flow. And even more, align with the seasons around you. Winter invites reflection. Spring calls for beginning. Summer expands. Autumn refines. Let things unfold instead of forcing outcomes. That's what attunement really means. Harmony instead of resistance. Flowing with time instead of fighting it. And this year, I don't know if I'm getting older, but I am starting to sound like my grandma that, this fall, the leaves and the air and the days are the most special. The sun, the colors. But I believe that they are. I don't know where you are currently, and I don't know how your fall is. But here for us in Virginia and Washington, D.C., the colors been absolutely amazing. The weather's been incredible. And every time I go outside, I remind myself that it's incredible privilege to see what we have around us, to be part of the nature season, to enjoy the change in nature season. You know, when people say, finish strong, it often comes with this unspoken pressure, like strength means speed, achievement, or doing just one more thing before the year ends. But here's the truth. Finishing strong doesn't mean pushing harder. It means closing the year with clarity, not clutter, with grace, not guilt. For me, finishing strong has nothing to do with hassle. It's not about how much I finish, it's about how I feel when I do. Finishing strong is an energy, not a metric, especially in midlife. So maybe ask yourself, what would strengthening look like for me right now? What would strength look like for me right now? For you, at your own special place and time in midlife. Because sometimes strength looks like saying no and being at peace with that. Sometimes strength is deleting a project that no longer fits where you're going, especially for women business owners. We plan so many things and we believe that we need to achieve absolutely every single project that is on a schedule. And that is speaking from experience. But often it's not possible. And to be honest with you, often it's not even needed. Sometimes strength is resting without apology or explanation. Strong can be quiet. Strong can be calm. Strong can be walking into December knowing exactly what deserves your yes and what doesn't. We've been conditioned to believe that strength is a race, but what if it's really a rhythm? What if finishing strong means finishing true to yourself, your season, your story, your dreams, your beliefs, who you truly are at this moment? Pause here for a second. What if you ended the year not by doing everything, but by aligning with what truly matters? What does grace look like for you right now? Not in theory, but in practice. For me, grace looks like breathing before deciding. It looks like letting the unfinished stay unfinished and trusting that not every door needs to close before the year does. That's what I call finishing strong, ending with self-respect, with peace, and with presence. Remember, When we are in November, the phrase, be kind to yourself, is the one that we should carry with us everywhere. Every time we say yes, we need to stop and remind ourselves, be kind to yourself. And is this yes will allow you to do that? Every time we say no, and often when we say to ourselves, is that no helping us to be kind to ourselves or not? Here's the beautiful thing about November. It's not just an ending. For me, it's a bridge. The best way to start December and to move into holidays is to finish November your way. Every moment you reclaim now becomes the foundation for what's next. So don't think of this month as a countdown. Think of it as a transition. Create a forward pull, not pressure. Focus on direction, not deadlines. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel when this month ends? Because that's what you'll carry into December. Your emotional energy, your focus, your state of being. Here's a simple practice I love. Choose one word for how you want to feel on November 30th. Here's a simple practice I love. Choose one word for how you want to feel on November 30th. Just one. Maybe it's peaceful, complete, light, open, grounded. Write it somewhere you'll see every day. Your mirror, your phone wallpaper, maybe in your journal, maybe put a note on your desk. Let that single word guide every choice you make this month. If your word is peaceful, ask yourself, does this decision bring me closer to peace or farther away? If it's open, ask, does this expand me or exhaust me? Each small decision aligned with that word becomes your momentum for the new year. And remember, there's no rush, no guilt, just alignment. Because how you end the year is how you'll begin the next one. How you'll end November, that's how you'll step into December. End it the same way you want to live, on your own terms. You don't need to chase the year's ending. You only need to meet yourself in it, fully present, fully proud, fully enough. The end of the year isn't a finish line. To me, it's almost a mirror. It reflects how you've lived, what you've learned, and who you've become in the process. You're not behind. You're not in crisis. You're not slow. You're right on time for your own rhythm, your story, your own way of being, your own midlife moment where you are right here, right now. Every path you've taken, every shift you've made, every choice to slow down, it's still forward motion. Because creating your life isn't about how fast you go. It's about how true you are while moving through it. So let the rest of this year be less about what you close and more about how you arrive. Meet yourself there with gratitude, with grace, and with quiet confidence. That's what power looks like in midlife. This is how powerful women finish, not by racing, but by returning to what's real, to what matters to themselves. Because the strongest way to finish the year is to end it as you. As you continue forward, I want you to remember how the pause is being treated by professional musicians in music score. Any rest is not a stop of the music. Any rest is not a stop of the sound. It's that special moment when the performer can breathe, when the audience can breathe together with the performer in order to continue forward, in order to continue listening, in order to enjoy. So as I say goodbye, I invite you to embrace the pause, embrace the rest, not as stop to momentum, but as the time when you allow yourself to look ahead and continue forward the strongest, the most unique way you ever can. Thank you for listening to Create Your Midlife with me, Dr. Oksana Skidan. Take what resonated, leave what doesn't, and remember, the art of leading yourself is the new luxury of our century. You already have yourself, and that's where creation begins. I'll meet you here next week.